Yes.
Yes, we are up. I think we're up. Yeah.
Everybody, welcome to Dylan Knows. Yes, for those who have seen the show all the time, all 54 episodes or any version of the episodes, you know it wouldn't be Dylan Knows without Dylan Knows Tech Problems. So once again, I apologize unreservedly to Tech Problems, and I will say again, new computer coming December, and I'm going to keep saying it because every week something's going to happen. But besides that, it doesn't matter. For those who don't know, because I hopefully will have some new viewers in here because we've got some new crew in here who've never been on the show before, and they've got their own big followings. This is Dylan Knows. It is a weekly video show, no offense, Jessica, the greatest video show of all time.
The one that, how about the greatest that focuses on things other than comics? Because you have comics, but you've got other things too.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that, and we'll talk about what Jessica does there in a bit. But my weekly show is as everyone points out, is a different genre every week. Beginning of the month, I do my comic show with Mr. MJ Khan, who's with me today.
Hello, hello.
And my second week is my list show, which I do with Gigi Fletcher, where we make up a list and check it twice and make sure everything's cool. And then third one is my paranormal show with Larissa, Daphne Do. And then, of course, fourth one is International with Bronwyn as my regular co-host. For those who don't know, Bronwyn is Canadian, so she's very nice. And she talks funny. Very funny. She likes to drink at the beer and play the hockey, and I've just destroyed relations between Canada and the United States, so there you go.
No, I would be offended if it wasn't true, but I like the beer and I love the hockey.
And with Bronwyn, we have her better half, Mr. Steve.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Steve.
No, it's not Canadian.
I am not Canadian. I am from New York, United States.
So we're gonna go down the line real quick. Jessica, tell us what you do. What's your big thing here?
I write for a website called comicosity.com and do a show called The Comic Hangout that focuses only on comics and talking with comic book creators. That's it. I say that, and then the girls hijack the show from me, and they talk about my best friends, Karen and Allison. They talk about Game of Thrones and True Blood and all sorts of things. And I'm just like, no.
Tangentially comic book related?
Eventually it gets around to comic books, yeah.
But the good news, though, you do get the hot creators, the good creators, and creators you want to get more information on, and a lot of them are really great. I've watched a number of your episodes, and they are fantastic. I highly recommend it. It's Mondays, 9 p.m. Correct?
Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern, yes, sir.
All right, excellent. Mr. MJ Khan is my co-host for my comic show, which I think one of the differences is we focus a little bit on comics, but we also discuss a lot of comic book movies and TV show stuff. So it is kind of different. So.
It's a little different. It's a lot of comic culture. So, you know. There's some rants every now and then, too, so.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We've had some epic ones. What's this Earth's First thing there, MJ? Let us know about that.
Yeah, that's my first novel that I completed, and it is about it's kind of like a new take on the superhero genre. I have finished the first draft of the second novel, the sequel, and I am just going back and rewriting and trying to polish it and everything for that. So it's it's getting out there. It's my work. I'm proud of it.
Congratulations.
That's exciting. Where can I buy it?
Amazon.
All right.
Yeah, you can. My wife has downloaded it onto not her Kindle. Amazon's not the Kindle. Amazon's the
Kindle, but
yeah,
you
can.
Kindle.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on any of the electronic vendors, though. Any of them. So.
Oh, excellent.
And I'm the type of guy I need a hard copy because I'm not big into digital stuff, and so I need to have a hard copy. Same with comics. I tend to go get the hard copies of the comics. I've got a hard copy of this book. Still haven't read it yet. Working on it.
But you have the copy.
Working on it. I have the copy. And then, Steve, tell us what you do.
Oh boy! All right. I am the executive editor of TalkingComicBooks.com. We are a growing website. We have a podcast, which is the Talking Comics podcast. And we also do interviews with creators and all manner of comic book related things, reviews, news, contests. And we also have a suite of podcasts. One of them is the Talking Games podcast, which I am the host of. And on that show, we basically just have a really good time every week. It is very loose, and we talk about all things from what video games are hot right now to going back in time and visiting old arcades and visiting old systems. And basically, this past week on TalkingComicBooks.com, if you look for if you look on that website for the podcast, we had a For the Love of Multiplayer podcast where we basically got into a time machine, went back in time, and talked about all of the old great co-op and massive multiplayer games that we've played in the past.
Oh, wow.
So that's pretty much my deal. There's more, but I won't bore you with that stuff. It's a great website. If you want to check it out, it's TalkingComicBooks.com. We do lots of great stuff with lots of tremendously cool people contributing to it every day.
Good.
And last but not least, Bronwyn, have you and Jeans been doing your show lately?
We have. We've recorded a couple of episodes. We're having a couple of website issues right now, so not everything has been posted yet, but you can always go to bringoutyourgeek.com and check out Jeans and I as we discuss lots of genre things. Typically, we review movies, but also TV, pop culture, things like that. So we get into our con envy when we can't make it to things like San Diego Comic-Con. And you can also check out, I do the occasional comic book review.
Oh, cool. I forgot about my Joe Blow stuff.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I'm also a columnist for JoeBlow.com. I have an animation column with them called Ink and Pixel, where I go throughout animation history and basically dissect animated films from the past, and also sci-fi and horror movies as well. Oh, wow. Which is a lot of fun. You can find those every other Thursday exclusively on JoeBlow.com.
Well, we have a whole bunch of multi-threats here. Let's see, what's all that I've done? Let me see. This show. Well, no, but I also have my comic haul, which is something I do. I try to do every Wednesday when I try to, and it's just because I'm an egotist. I like to see myself on TV and YouTube, and I talk about the comics that I get for the week and show pictures of like that. And more proof that I'm an egotist. I need to have a third show, and I don't know if any of you guys have seen it yet. It's my fictional show called The Assistant. I'm on episode 9 and 10 are dropping on Monday, and the first 8 are fairly boring, but 9 and 10 is where things really get picked up. So and they're all within the longest one I've done so far is 7 minutes. The shortest one I've done is about 3 minutes. So it's really easy to get caught up on them. So check that out. The Assistant, and I'm gonna partially blame you, Bronwyn, for this because as everybody out there who's watched Still Knows before, they know that I was not a big Doctor Who fan at the time. I never really knew much about Doctor Who, so I decided to do an episode. Last December, I did an episode called Dylan Doesn't Know Doctor Who, and Bronwyn was on there, and her and Jen Hallmeyer convinced me to maybe check out some Doctor Who, and then I ignored them for a few months, and then around March, I decided I was going to start catching up on it, so I started watching it religiously, and then all of a sudden I sort of stopped, so... But and Jessica, and the reason why I also wanted to just come on here too is because she's made she's tweeted me before about Doctor Who stuff, so she's a Doctor Who fan as well. But the thing is, my show, The Assistant, does have a connection to Doctor Who as well, so I really can't legally probably call it Doctor Who because I can't, but it has a connection to it, and I use stuff like that. I'm a rebel, baby, yeah. Enough about me. This is about us. Dylan Knows International is my roundtable where we just discuss whatever we feel like. We've done everything from songs to gender conflicts. Like last month, we were all dressed as the women were dressed as men, and the men were dressed as women. So that was a lot of fun. And it's a big fun one. This is my fun one. The one with MJ is like work because MJ is so.
Yeah, it's work, all right. So serious too. But yeah, we just like to have fun on this one. So what I usually do is, and there is no
if you don't have one, it's fine, but I always like to start off Dylan Knows International with the rant. So if anybody has a rant they want to go off on for a few minutes about anything in the world, Bronwyn knows I always talk about parking and driving stuff. So, Jessica, do you have any little rant you want to discuss right now?
Who, me?
Yes.
No, Jessica.
Yes.
Yeah. I've even got, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've got screen shares ready here.
Ooh, this is exciting.
This is my rant. This right here. I don't know if y'all can see that, but
Critical.
that is elo.co.
Okay.
And it is a website that has been launched to be, it's a new social media platform that is supposed to be an indie style thing where they don't sell your information and everything else, but the problem is that they're taking money from VCs for their funding, which means the VCs are going to want their money back and then some. So they're going to sell out as soon as possible. What happens when they sell out? Are they going to suddenly start selling our information? The idea is that eventually it'll make money through platform upgrades, like, hey, we're going to give you a retweet feature, but you have to pay for it if you want it, type thing. And there's so many good things about this website, and there's so many bad things about this website, and so my rant is that I don't know whether I love it or I hate it. I want to hate it so bad because of the way it's funded, or the lack of funding right now. But at the same time, it's nice that it feels a little bit more private. And at the same time, like if you reply to somebody, that doesn't show up in everyone's feed. It only shows up to them, and which is really nice. And so you don't have a lot of cluttered feeds. And if you look at Matt Miner's post here, I really like it because if he wants to, he can write more than 140 characters or however much Twitter is.
Yeah, 140. Yeah.
140.
Yeah, you can write more than 140 characters. So it's a combination of Facebook and Twitter, but it doesn't have all the bells and whistles because it's in beta testing right now. And so it would be fun, I think, if everybody actually used it, but because of the lack of features, everybody's like, and because of, a lot of people don't like the way it's being funded.
Well, it's also invite only, correct?
Say that again?
It's also invite only, so right now spots are pretty limited to even try it.
Well, it's not that they're limited. Everybody who gets an account gets 5 invitations. So, hey, if nobody on the show right now has an ELO account, hit me up. Let me know, cause
if you want to send me one, I would love one. I was actually trying to get one this morning, just to check it out. I'm very, very curious. I actually recognize a whole bunch of your icons here on the left-hand side with creators and different sites and such. Yeah,
it's really, like I said, it's cool because it's interesting and new, but at the same time, it's frustrating on a multiple reasons.
Right. Well, it's in beta right now, correct? And it's brand new. Anything that is going to happen with it, they'll be ironing out within even the next couple of months. Right. They're probably restructuring depending on pay grades and whatnot. They might find out that some of the stuff that they've set up for it simply doesn't work, and they have to go back.
Well, I think right now the biggest issue seems, at least as far as from a user standpoint, is just the lack of features.
Yeah.
Certain things, like you can't even change your icon in certain browsers. So it depends upon, if you use Google Chrome, some things don't work. If you use Internet Explorer, other things don't work. And so I find myself having to go back and forth between browsers just to be able to do everything. Ugh. And then if you're using Safari on an iPad, you're up a creek without a paddle when it comes to a lot of stuff.
Really?
Yeah. And then if you don't have your image sizes just exact, it won't tell you your image size is wrong. It looks like it's fixed it and it's changed it or it's uploaded it when it really hasn't. And then you'll go back, a few hours later and it's like, hey, it's the same picture there. It's like, well, no, it turns out the image size is wrong. You just didn't know it, but it didn't tell you.
Nice.
The search only works about 30% of the time. And I mean, those are things that can be fixed, but then there's other things where it's like, like I said, there's no reblogging feature, there's no sharing feature. So if they provide that, are they going to make you pay for it? Because like I said, they have no, other than VCs giving them money, they have no source of revenue right now. And they talk about having they don't advertise to you, they don't sell your information, and that's the good part.
Yeah.
But that means they have no revenue coming in, and frankly, I would rather they advertise to me than ask me to pay money for premium features. I don't pay for premium features on any website, anywhere. If I have to pay for it, I'm like, okay, bye-bye website.
Yeah.
Right. And what are you paying for at this point if other free sites are already offering you these features?
Exactly.
I mean, are you paying for the exclusivity of being on a new product and just being able to say that you're on another social network? That doesn't really go very far if people can't see your stuff.
No. Exactly. Well, and I mean, I know once the beta testing's over, I'm sure they'll drop the invite-only part of it. And you can still, if you know an address, for example, mine's elo.co/momsreadcomics. If you go there, you don't have to be a member to look at my page. If you know a specific web address, you don't have to be a member to look at those pages. There's also no not safe for work filters on it right now. So I have seen some horrendous things that have burned my eyes. So I highly, and that's even without being logged into Elo. That's just with. I keep saying Elo. I think it's Elo.
Hello, yeah.
Like hello, but oh well.
It's like the little grubby worm from Labyrinth.
Hello. Yes.
I said hello.
It's like potato. Tomato.
Hello.
Anyway, that's
so. No, that's good. That's great. That's exactly the type of thing I'd like to see and hear is things that we can discuss and talk about that most people might not have been able to talk about on a regular type of style show or whatever. I mean, that's the whole reason why I decided to try to do this show and that's why I start with a rant, is that way we can talk about whatever we want, and it doesn't have to be a specific thing. It's just something that's bothering us and gives us a chance to get out there and get out there. So I do have the Q&A up, so anybody out there who's watching, if you want to say something and go ahead, put it up there. I will read it. As a matter of fact, our friend Janine, who was a big help this week, Janine, she sent out automatic tweets all week about this show, hoping to get more viewers in there. She says that, this is for you, MJ, she said, Earth's First is very good. I'm on chapter 14, so Janine likes what she's reading right now. MJ, do you have anything? Do you have a rant or anything? If you don't, it's cool.
I don't think so. At least nothing as serious as that one.
Sorry to bring the mood down.
No, I like it.
No,
I really did. I like it because I'm going to check that site out. So I really liked it. The only thing that has annoyed me over the past week is that, and this will seem really small, but Sleepy Hollow came back on, and they have not changed that man's clothes. For a year, I've been like, please change his clothes and cut his hair, and they still haven't changed it. He just looks like
the ponytail's too cute.
Oh my god! Okay, thank you. I was gonna say I kind of love the hair.
I love the hair. Let him keep the hair.
But that coat and those clothes, I mean, really, that's just
Got to be funky by now. I don't care how cute.
Yes, exactly. That's a heavy coat. It traps everything in. I mean, that's just let it breathe.
Even if he's washed it, it's gotta. I mean, you've gotta think that sucker's falling apart or something.
Exactly.
Only one set of clothes.
I mean, there's one thing to say they don't make things like they used to, but he was buried for how long?
Like 200 years old.
To phrase Vincent Price, it's got the funk of 50,000 years.
Yes.
There you go.
Those poor little leather molecules are holding on for dear life to keep that coat together. I'm like, let it go. Take that man to Abercrombie or someplace. I don't know, but that was my
shop where he can get something that is very sort of, period appropriate.
Hey, I think he would fit in very well in the steampunk community. That's
right. Get him a pair of goggles. He would look.
Bring him to a con. They should have a Sleepy Hollow episode where they're at a con and he just wanders off over to the steampunk section.
Awesome. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's my rant. So.
That's cool. Steve, Bronwyn, do you guys have anything? You guys?
Well, mine is just stupid, and it's me because I am stuck, and you know how active I am, and I do play the hockey in a couple of different formats, and alas, I am cast bound because I'm clumsy and an idiot, and 3 months ago I broke my toe, and it's still not healing, and this is, I mean, shout out to Canadian healthcare, sorry, but but I'm wandering around in this,
Oh.
No.
and it's very,
So-
very frustrating. 'Cause
And
now
it's been 3 months, and it hasn't healed yet. Wow. You must have done something really bad to it. Maybe you broke it completely. It's just sort of
You should
swimming
not
around
be
in your
scouting out for that
skin.
healthcare.
this one heard it from across the room, like.
Yeah,
Oh.
I was there. I was there when it happened. It was one of those sounds that you'll just never forget.
Oh.
So, million peoples. I basically just stood there in dead silence waiting for her reaction because I felt like if I had even moved or breathed, that I was going to cause her even more pain. And she's like, I think it's okay. And she lifted the phone. She goes, nope, not okay. Definitely not okay.
Oh, ouch.
So
Well,
that's my.
let's look on the bright side, though. At least you're not fellow Snarkalk and my old college friend Eric A. now, who somehow managed to break both of his arms in a bike accident.
Poor guy. We're cast buddies. At least
I
move
feel bad.
He's like Mr. Roboto. He can't move at all,
Mr.
And
Robot.
it's so funny too because Eric is such a chef guy and he loves to cook, and now he's like has to tell his wife, okay, this is what you need to do. You need to do this. You need to store this. You got to fry it for this long. You got to add the olive oil here, and he's just like, I want to get out of this, and he can't. But he's getting better though. I mean, apparently he's been. I guess he's okay enough now that he can. Head back to work now, but I don't know exactly what he does. I guess he's computer bound, but because he's a graphic designer, I think, so he does some. I guess he's able to use his fingers to move the mouse around, stuff like that. But I feel bad for my old college buddy. So Godspeed to Eric, And my rant is also very dumb, as always. I'm a Catholic, but I'm not a raging Catholic, as it were. I believe in some aspects of the Catholic Church. The others, I'm just like, really? And that my rant isn't about one of the things that they're talking about today, but and this has been going on since I've been going to my church. It's just like, people, please have a little decorum. Do not come to church wearing your Ravens jerseys and shorts and T-shirts and cutoffs and stuff like that. Look, I can understand it. I can understand for kids, okay? Kids, I understand, okay? That's fine. But when you are, and this is the other thing, the one that really bothers me is an usher. One of the ushers that hands out the money plate and helps with keeping the lines intact for communion. He wears a Ravens jersey and blue jeans. Now, look, okay, that's cool. I mean, I'm glad you're a Ravens fan, buddy. But you know what? I'm a Ravens fan too. But I'm still wearing a shirt and a tie. Yes, my tie has a raven on it, but at least it's a tie, and it's a nice button-up shirt, okay? This dude is wearing a jersey and blue jeans, and he's an usher. And then you look around, and you just see just all these people. They're wearing Ravens jerseys, or they're wearing T-shirts and cut-off jeans, or and I said it's older people, it's grown-ups, adults, it's parents. It's like, come on, a little decorum in church, please. I mean, you don't have to wear a tie, but like a nice polo shirt maybe. You can wear blue jeans, that's fine, but nice shirt. None of this like T-shirts and it just. At least it wasn't about driving or parking, which I was thinking about ranting about motorcycles, but I'm not going to do that right now.
We're taking a break from you.
Hashtag Dylan knows being an old man.
I am the constant guy who goes up and says, "Get off my lawn!" My wife, yeah, you got me, you pegged me just right, Jessica, absolutely. And my wife just gets on me sometimes because I look out and our neighbors are like, they have kids who are, 10 years old, 11 years old, and they're like running through my yard. It's like, really, should they be running through my yard? I mean, they have their whole yard right over there. Or there was a little girl, little baby, it's probably about 1 year old, whatever, was drawing chalk on our sidewalk that leads to our house. It's like, why you have your own sidewalk? Draw on that. But my wife is like, you really got to drop this, okay?
Let it go.
Oh my God.
That is amazing. Such a crotchety old man. That's incredible.
I am.
Do you need to watch Frozen a couple more times? Do you just need
I'm very
Let it go.
Do you need to embrace your inner Elsa?
I have to. The funny thing about that is my kids are not they like Frozen, but their movie of choice was Lego Movie. So I've seen a Lego Movie like a million times, and Frozen I think we've seen once since we got it on DVD. So I do though.
In that case, you need to embrace.
Oh, whoops, I'm sorry.
In that case, you need to embrace your inner totalitarian government and just keep singing "Everything is awesome."
Exactly.
No matter what.
Fraggle.
Oh yeah, that's why I do this show. Gives me a chance to get a little out of there. So good, excellent. So the rant is over. I'm sorry. Because it's just great because now it's everyone's getting on me, which is great because I get on everybody else during the show. So I deserve it. I've been living life too quickly, too good. All right, let's see. Since you know what, we're all comic people. Let's talk some comic books. What do you say about that, people? Sound good?
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
All right. Comic books. So what do you want to talk about? Just kidding.
To share.
Yes.
Yeah. This is my new one that I'm loving. It's Wayward by Jim Zub. I'm enjoying it very thoroughly. Just picked up issue number 2, so I'm really excited. And I'm loving my number 1. Everyone take a minute to enjoy. Signed.
Beautiful.
Cover. Gorgeous. Love it. It's awesome because it's about a half Irish, half Japanese girl who just moved to Japan to live with her mom. And she encounters the supernatural side of Japan fairly quickly into her relationship with the country. It just is very exciting for me because I didn't know anything about it until I went to Fan Expo and we ran into Jim Zub, who explained the story to me a little bit and gave me this introduction, and I was hooked immediately because I actually have Japanese cousins who live in Japan, so they're half Canadian, half Japanese. But my cousin Anna is actually going to university in Tokyo, and so this really reminded me of her and sort of had a personal connection. And while I hope she's not, fighting demons on a nightly basis, if she's seeing them, I hope she's taking care of business. I have faith in her. So I'm really excited to have this one on my pull list now.
It's so beautiful. That book is so beautiful.
It's gorgeous. Gorgeous.
I love the cover.
Right?
Yeah, the second issue really notches up the interest with their main character. There's an angle or an aspect of her character that they reveal in issue number 2 that makes her a bit more so than just a comic book character and could maybe have her relate to a whole other audience. It's not something, without spoilers, it's not something that you see.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Jessica, have you read the issue?
Yeah, I've read it.
Okay. Some people might be unnerved by it. I found it to be pretty fascinating that they would introduce this element of this person's personality and part of their makeup. I think it will identify with an audience that, if it reaches them, was not prepared to be sitting down to read like a fantastical comic like this. And I think it's going to play into her character and just make her so much more interesting and relatable for some. And the idea that the book has characters that are flawed in ways, and for me, those are the best characters in comics, are the ones that have their own, I don't want to say issues, but just their own private things about them aside from the story at hand that they have going on that maybe you can connect yourself to. I think is very interesting from a writing perspective.
it's a lot more like real life because
Yes.
I mean, we all have faces and facets that we present and that are important to what's going on at the time, but it's not 100% of us necessarily. And so more comics need to do things like this.
Yes.
Yeah. Having varied characters and stories and a little bit more complexity
Right.
in the long run is going to pull people in, I think, because it is more relatable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Which I think is one of the big things that Image is doing really well lately. They've been launching a ton of really interesting books, as it were, and I hadn't really been following too much of Image because I'd never really been a big Image guy since when they first started out. But and this is partially your fault too, Jessica. Watching your show, you got me hooked on some other stuff as well, and then going to my comic store and seeing stuff is very interesting. So it is. I have to agree. I mean, it's not just Image though, but I mean, there's a lot of really good independent stuff out there now, and it looks like hopefully that maybe not DC so much, but Marvel and DC are trying to catch up a little bit, but I don't think there's going to be any way they're going to be able to, and it's making it a little bit easier for me to maybe spend more money on the more complex and interesting independent style comics than maybe the regular Marvel DCs, but it's still pretty good. I'm sorry, Steve, were you going to say something? I cut you off?
No, I was just going to jump on to the comics talk and discuss very briefly a book that's coming out from Dark Horse Comics. This is actually issue 2 of 4. It's a book called Pop, and to try and describe this to you, this might get a little dicey, but the story is by Bruce Years with art by Jason Copland and colors by Pete Toms and letters by Ryan Ferrier. This is a book about a world that is not all too different from our own, where all of our celebrities and pop stars are actually genetically grown inside of a laboratory, and they're built with specifics that appeal to the masses so that we can have our Lady Gagas and our Justin Biebers and all of these people. They're actually grown inside of these like tubes and then, roasted to perfection and brought out, pooped out into society and for us to enjoy or hate or whatever. This is a story about a character named Elle who basically undercooked. Somebody goes into the lab, unplugs all of her tubes, and breaks the container that she's in, and she falls out of her containment unit and escapes the laboratory, and ultimately meets up on the street, is running from her captors, and bumps into what can only be described as one of the biggest stoners I've ever run into. He owns a record store, and he does everything under the moon, from smoking weed pretty much 24/7 to, in order to help her in the second issue to regain her memories of what's happened to her, suggests that they go to the forest and smoke a bowl of DMT in order to generate these memories. So in the second issue, you have them sitting in this serene forest-like setting, and he goes, "I want to help you. Smoke this bowl of dimethyltryptamine, and let's go on this mind journey." So what you have is this incredible, introspective, crazy colors, crazy mental states, all in the spirit of recapturing memories to find out who she is. And meanwhile, you've got assassins on their tail of 2 characters. One looks like Joan Jett, and the other one looks like And in one of my absolute favorite scenes, and this will kind of set up who the organization is, the organization responsible for the celebrities and for the pop stars and whatnot, they have a code. And the code is that they made you, they own you. You are a product of their business of making money. Mm-hmm. And there's a knock on the door of Justin Bieber's. His name in the book is Justin Bieber, but it's Justin Bieber, and the idea is that he's retired from public life. Like he's after all the egging of the house and all these crazy things that he's gotten into, he decides to up and leave public life. This is not a part of the contract. This is not why they made you. So they show up at his door, and they shoot him in the kneecaps. And rather than send help for him, they allow him to just lay on the floor bleeding to basically think about what he's done. And these are the two characters that are now in pursuit of Elle, and she's trying to run away from this organization that creates our pop stars. It is one of those books that, like I just now, to describe it to people, sounds absolutely off the wall, and that's because that's precisely what it is. If you're, have you read it?
Oh yeah. The only way I describe it to people is I'm pretty sure they were stoned when they wrote it, and that you need to be stoned when you read it to truly appreciate it. But it's fun. It's very fun.
I think it's a lot of fun. I think some of the dialogue is spotty in parts. There are characters that you don't necessarily believe that they talk that way, but it's one of those things where you're so entertained by the very premise of the book that you're kind of willing to forgive those things for a few pages just to get to the bizarre nature of it all. Right. I mean, it's just so weird that the whole pop star angle is enough, but to have her team up with this, I don't want to say low life, but like a layabout, somebody with no ambition and whose, bright idea is to go into the forest and do drugs in order to get out of this life-threatening situation. That's not always the greatest of solutions. I read a lot of comics, week in and week out. My pull list is currently per month over 100 titles. That,
oh wow!
It's pretty. I'm in dire need of cutting back on my reading menu. But right. But when I come across stuff like this, it really catches my eye because it is so bizarre and it is so wacky in a sense of that it stays with me. And even when I'm done reading all the Batmans, when I'm done reading all the big stuff, all the, Saga and Outcast and all of these other great books that are out, it's these weird little side jaunts and side books that really kind of capture my interest and that I like to bring to people's attention because this is, in my estimation, a book that is completely below the radar and people are just passing it by. It's got a very simple title that doesn't really describe much of what's happening in the book. So if I can bring it to people's attention and you like weird books, you should definitely check out Pop from Dark Horse Comics. It's pretty amazing.
Huh.
Yeah, it's the first I heard of it. Yeah, I mean, it's the first I heard of it. I mean, who says there isn't any original ideas out there anymore? I mean, that sure takes the cake for that. And that actually, what you mentioned, Steve, there, it made me think about something. And I'm a terrible, awful type of person. I have all these. I have all these bags of comics. I've got MJ's novel, all this stuff, and it's just sitting because I either don't make time to read them or I don't have time or whatever. I like to lie to myself, maybe saying I don't have time because I have kids and a job and I'm tired and I'm stuff like that. But I end up just sitting on my butt on the couch watching TV and twittering all day. But what I mainly wanted to ask, and this goes out to all you guys, and I want to get an idea. I mean, and especially I want to hear from from Jessica and Steve also, but I mean I wouldn't mind hearing from MJ and Bronwyn also. When are you able to read all these comics? I mean, I know Jessica, it's like part of your you write for Comicosity, and Steve, you walk for Talking Comics. I know you need to do all this stuff. When do you find the time just to sit down and read, and how many do you read a day or something like that? Just a general for everybody to answer.
Jessica, would you like to go first?
Sure. For those who don't know, I'm a full-time teacher, and I have 3 children. So when I read comics, it's pretty much any free second I can get. I read a lot of them on one of my girlfriends helped me get an iPad, and so I've been reading the majority of them that way, and it's pretty much if I got a free minute, okay, I'm going to pull up a comic and I'm going to read it. And if I've got some time before bed, I'm going to pull up a comic and I'm going to read it. And a lot of times I'm multitasking. I'm reading a comic while I'm making dinner. I'm reading a comic while I'm doing laundry. I'm reading a comic while I'm watching Doctor Who or any other, or Farscape or anything else. And so it's especially with the number of books that I read, I'm pretty much reading comics constantly. And the only times I'm not are my decompression times. So.
Right.
Which, I mean, everybody needs, I suppose. Steve, what about you? When is because you do the reviews and stuff like that. How much time do you've got to do and read?
All right. Well, in the interest of full disclosure, I read a lot of my comics while in the bathroom. Because that is some quality time right there. I like to get comfortable, take my time. I'm the only one reading my books, so people don't ask to really loan my books out, so I'm not worried about.
Amy cute.
But hey, look, I'm just being honest. I'm busy, and the majority of people, they do their stuff during the daytime. Like, that's when people are working, that's when people are getting their projects done. I am constantly, you can usually during the week always find me at the computer. I'm writing, I'm setting up articles, I'm setting up interviews, whatever it is that I'm doing. Aside from toilet time, I reserve pretty much the end of my night for comics. I don't sleep all that much, so you can usually find me, like my comic tweets and stuff like that usually happen from anywhere about like 12:30 in the morning to like 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m., where I'm posting, panels and photos and comments and stuff like that. I will sit down in my bedroom with my cat, and I'll grab a drink, and I'll just sit in my bed, and I will read about maybe anywhere from like 9 to 15 comics at a clip in a row. I don't always like to do it that way because I feel like doing them one after another, there's not a whole lot of time for something to resonate with you that way. Like once you've read something, especially if something's only about 26 to 32 pages, including ads, you tend to bypass a lot of the emotion and a lot of the major plot points when reading in a lump like that. Because you just, like, let's say you've read the latest chapter of the Robin Rises stuff in either Batman and Robin or Batman or what have you, and then you move on to something like Saga. The mental switch from one universe to another, moving from book to book to book, like I kind of have to mentally prepare myself and steel myself to get into that mode. So what I tend to do is I tend to go by publisher and by creator, and like I'll read a bunch of DC books at a clip. I'll read a bunch of Marvel books. I'll read a bunch of independents because I'm actually, mentally preparing myself to be within those universes. I don't want to shortchange any of those things. Like when I read Saga, I want to be in the throes of the failing relationship between Marco and Alana, and know what's going on and feel the weight of those situations. You can't really do that after you've just watched Joey Ramone and Joan Jett pop some guy and pop Justin Bieber in the kneecap. You're just not there. And another time that I actually really love to read comics is every Thursday at 1 o'clock. I have an incredible acupuncturist that I go and see on a weekly basis, and my sessions tend to be pretty long. They're about 2 hours. I have a lot of stuff going on. I just bring a stack with me, and I lay on my stomach. They do all of the stuff, and I read my books, and then when I'm done with it, I actually pass it off to my acupuncturist. He's reading about 4 different series by now since I've been going in there. He loves Daredevil. And, like I said, my pull list, because of Talking Comics, I'm trying to whittle it down. This past week, I had 22 different titles on my pull list. I actually managed to whittle it down to 14. I made some pretty massive cuts just for financial reasons, and because, like I said, with reading so much, I don't want to jeopardize my enjoyment of books and of stories, because they're worth that attention. They're worth my time. And they're worth the dedication and money. Some of these creators are just building really, really amazing worlds that I don't want to read stuff half-assed, especially since I owe my opinions to our audience. So that's my very long explanation as to how and when I read comics. I have a tendency to ramble, so if you get bored of me, just stop me.
No, it's fine. No, you're a lot like me in that case. So, MJ, I know you're a writer, but you also do some other stuff as well. When do you find your time to read?
I'm kind of like Jessica, I tend to load up my iPad and I'll read while I'm watching TV. I read like during commercials or if something I'm just kind of like have on in the background. And also, with the iPad, I found it's very easy to read 3 or 4 issues at back to back to back. So to me that's kind of a great way to not have to wait for the next one to come out. I'll read like 3 or 4 of something, and then a couple of weeks later I'll get like 3 or 4 more, of something else, some other series. So that way I can read 4 Daredevils or the last 3 issues of Superman and Wonder Woman. So that way I'm not actually waiting, and it feels more contiguous to me. And at the same time, sometimes it's frustrating, but it's just like you said, it's hard sometimes just to find the time to do nothing and just sit back and read and enjoy it. I don't want to feel like I'm forcing myself to do it or making time for it. I really still want to enjoy it, so I just kind of fit it in when I can.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a difficult balance. I was
Right.
discussing Talking Comics podcast that when you do work with comics, that you kind of have to be mindful of how much you read and what you read, because you don't want it to feel like work. You have a passion for it. It's work, but it's also a hobby. That sometimes reading for the websites or reading for research or reading to talk about things, you're always in the mindset of that you have to analyze everything that you pick up, and that can oftentimes get exhausting and can take you out of the stories. I mean, at least that's been my experience. I find that sometimes I have to keep collecting but step away from stories for a little while so that I could have like 3 or 4 issues stocked up.
Right.
Really, immerse myself and get the feeling of excitement for that character and that story again. It's just when you're doing stuff every week and every day for comics and you're so steeped within the culture, just like any other job that you do all the time and every day, you have to keep finding ways to remain passionate about it. It gets rough sometimes.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense too. I mean, that's one of the things that I tend to do. There are periods of times where there will be just a specific day where nothing's really going on for me, and then all of a sudden I have all this free time or whatever, and then I was like, you know what, I'm going to go up to my room, lay down on my bed, and grab a bag of comics, because I have them, because I'm nothing but anal. I've got them, DC's got are in here, all the independents are in here, all the Marvel are in here, and I've got the ones I want to read the first and the front, and then heading back, stuff like that. So then I just grab, say, okay, I feel like reading some DC, so I grab the DC pile, boom, put it on my bed, pull the first one out, and just start reading it. And there could be upwards of 2 to 3 issues of, say, a Sinestro or a Batman or whatever in there, so I read them back to back to back to back to back. So I get a good. I don't miss the flow of the story. It's not the breakup of every. You got to wait a month, a couple weeks sometimes, depending on the comic, for the next part of the story. I can actually sit down and say, okay, here's 3 issues. I haven't read. Let's read them all at one time, and then you get maybe a better grasp of the story. I'm not sure. Bronwyn, what's your time frame? Do you have one? Do you still do it a lot, or what?
I find I do get a little bit behind in my comic book reading sometimes because I'm also a novel reader. But like Steve, I don't sleep a lot.
We're insomniacs together.
So I sleep thoroughly one night a week at least. But no, I do. I read before bed every night. Every night. It doesn't matter what time I go to bed or whatever. So I work all day, and then I usually have some sort of athletic thing after work, one way or another, swimming right now because I can't play hockey, but I will get back to hockey soon. And then after that, when I come home, I have things to do around home, but then before bed I have to get everything calm down in my head and all the adrenaline out and everything in order to sleep. So that's where I read. And I like to have multiple issues in a row so that I can just immerse myself in one story for a little while. So it's okay to get a little bit behind on individual stories, but I just keep collecting them, and then I'm like, oh, you know what, right now I'm in a Ms. Marvel mood. I'm going to read all of them from issue number 1, and get back into that story and get into that flow. I just was on a Black Widow kick, and I really enjoyed that. And so right now, I'm saving my Wayward. I may not, but I do like to try and I'll let it go for a couple of weeks for one particular story. It's a frozen kind of day. And so that I can read 3 or 4 issues of one particular story in a row. I like to binge read. That's
Yes.
what I do. So I can get my brain totally immersed into one story, and then that helps me calm down enough to sleep. So.
Okay, cool. And you actually you gave me a good segue that something else I want to discuss also. So we're gonna take a little bit of a slight difference here. Something that I've been trying to do, and this is by no means this is just like the tip of the iceberg. I want to do an episode of Dylan Knows sometime where we just sit down. It could be with Jessica, this whole crew here again, and just discuss women in comics. There's a lot of stuff going on with women in comics. The current rise that I think I read the statistic, and I could be wrong, I'm misreading it, but women are now slowly getting close to overpassing men by being fans of the comics. There's more women going to the comic stores, and independents have always had this ability to make comics that are for women, and Marvel and DC have been sorely lacking in those, but they've been getting better as of recent. But my main question that I want to talk about, and we can discuss the other ramifications later, but my main question that this something crossed my head at work one day while I was thinking about this show is characters like a Black Widow or a Gamora who are strong female characters. Would you consider them role models, though, because they do kill people? Now, my daughter. The reason why I bring this up is my daughter. She loves Miss Marvel. She loves Captain Marvel, so that's awesome. But her favorite. She loves all kinds of women superheroes. So she loves Gamora and she loves Black Widow. Even though, to be honest, she's never seen anything of Black Widow or Gamora because I still think she's too young for the movies. But her friends might have talked to her about it, or she might have seen it on my shirt and said, "Oh, I like Gamora. You know, she's a female," or someone, maybe one of her friends talked about it. Now, would you consider a Gamora or a Black Widow a strong female role model, even though they have that darker side where they may kill somebody?
I would.
Do you consider Punisher or Deadpool a role model?
What's that?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I was flipping the question. Would you consider Deadpool or Punisher a role model?
Exactly.
Not at all. I wouldn't.
If you don't want to show your son Punisher or Deadpool, then you may not want to show your daughter Elektra or Black Widow. Or basically, there's an age range factor here with any character. Because
Exactly. And also, role model is an interesting kind of concept. Like, in terms of role model, do you need somebody who is perfect and moral, or do you need somebody who's flawed and complex? Because the reality is, people aren't perfect and moral. Like, you want for me, as somebody I would consider as a role model, perhaps not for children because I don't have children, but for myself and as I've been growing up, is someone who tries really hard. Isn't always going to succeed, isn't always going to win or make the right choice, but who tries and who is a little bit tortured when they don't do it right. You know, like, I'm really loving Black Widow and sort of seeing her kind of struggle with the decisions she's made in the past and trying to do what she can and to use what she can and what she has available to her to make amends. And how she sort of punishes herself for some of the decisions she's made in the past. Is she doing it perfectly? No. Is she making the same choices I would make? No, but I don't have the same life experiences. And I really respect the decisions. You know, I respect the struggle that she's going through and things like that. So is it a role model for a 6-year-old? No. But is it a role model for a 17-year-old? Maybe. You know, and I think these are things that you have to use to help teach people critical thinking.
Right.
You know, is the decision-making process she's going through useful? Yes. Is it the same decision you should end up making? Maybe not. But maybe that's a discussion you have with your kids.
Right.
It was something that just came in. It just popped in my head. Steve?
No, I think that's good. You know, to say that, you know, to think that. But also, you know, I think that you have to look at the difference between what children may see at the movies versus what they would see in a comic with the same character. the Avengers, the Black Widow and the Avengers is one thing, but the Black Widow that we know from the comics is completely different and not somebody that you would want your child necessarily to be exposed to.
Right. I mean, if I could just interject, I'm not a parent, so I can't speak on this, but I'll do it anyway. um, when I was growing up, like my fictional characters, my characters from books that I read and stuff like that, I think using the term role model, it's a very strong term. It's a very broad term that a lot of people think that when you say role model, like you look to them for everything on how to be. I think role models can be looked at as like aspects of character, not exactly the whole character. And to be quite honest, from what I've seen in pop culture, I have two nieces. One will be 6 in October. The other one is 3. The things that they're growing up with today and the things that they're exposed to in the pink aisle and through television and through the Disney Channel and all of those things that are made to be role model material for them are no better than the comic book characters that you're speaking of, Black Widow or Elektra, for them to idolize in any way, shape, or form. Not a parent, but as a parent, I think it's important to sit down with your kids and discuss with them who these characters are, the idea that they are fictional characters, and that aspects of their heroism and parts of their flaws can be, analyzed and looked at in different ways. Strong female character is a term that gets thrown around a lot. You have to remember that they're just women, they're just characters. They do have strong aspects of them, and they're commanding, and they're stealthy, and those are all super, super positive things. But if they don't show flaws, if they don't have regrets, if they don't make mistakes, you're creating idols that are in no way based in reality, even beyond the fictitious nature. It's not achievable for anyone. You mentioned the Punisher and Deadpool. I would hope that anyone that's reading Deadpool or the Punisher specifically would know, hook, line, and sinker that it is for entertainment, and you don't aspire to be, a war-torn vigilante whose family has been taken from them, so you're going to go on a rampage throughout your own universe. I think it's the job of the parents to differentiate the idea between true heroes, true real-life heroes, versus fictional ones, and that you can find heroism and you can, find comfort in these comic book characters, but understand that they are just that. They are comic book characters. They're there for your entertainment and for you to extract pieces of their character and apply them to yourselves. Not all things should be transposed from one to another.
That makes sense.
Not a parent, but it's a responsibility that the parents will have to take on just as much as the kids will have to take on the responsibility of understanding the difference.
Now, Jessica, you have a unique view on it because you are a teacher. Do you see anything like that? Do you see your students idolizing something that they maybe shouldn't?
Yes, constantly, all the time, because they don't know the difference. Their parents don't talk to them about it, and they're exposed to it anyway. Their parents don't even know what comic books they're reading. They were 12 the first time they picked up Deadpool, and they had no one to talk to them about the fact that what some of the things going on in there were not appropriate. And so to them, it's the end-all, beat-all, the coolest hero they've ever known.
Mm-hmm.
And their level of point of view or reality or perspective on things is skewed, and then you have to be someone who is not their parent, to have a discussion about, is you joke about in public. Those are hard conversations to have. Those are the conversations that make you go home at the end of the day and just cry your eyes out. because you have to then have those discussions with your own child over things they have been exposed to on top of it in general. So.
And that's one of the main reasons why I brought up the questions, because I have never shown my daughter Guardians of the Galaxy or Elektra or Black Widow, just because I personally don't think she's old enough yet. She's going to be 8 in December. But some people at her school obviously have seen it, because she came to me and she's been asking me questions about them. What was that, Jessica? I'm sorry.
No, on the flip side, my 5-year-old daughter has been exposed to Elektra, not the modern Elektra, just some Frank Miller original Daredevil pieces from the from the original run. Because you got to understand, she's also 5 going on 30. She understands things that.
Yeah.
I know I did not understand at her age, but she understands them, and she's very good. And unlike my boys, she's very good at differentiating between reality and fantasy, and asking questions. And she's the type of girl who we went to Disney World, and she immediately asked, are these people real, or are they people dressed in costumes? And so that's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it also depends upon the understanding of the child.
That's fair. No, that is absolutely fair. Yes. MJ, were you going to say something?
No. I was saying that I think that's a great point to make, that it does. Each child is individual. Should be looked at individually. So yeah, that's a good point.
And I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say there are also lots of comic book characters aside from like the Elektras and the Gamoras. Those are what's popular right now, but there are also more independent books that are like age appropriate for children. There's a book.
Amelia Cole.
What's that?
I was crying out Amelia Cole.
No, that's a good one.
By Jeremy Whitley called Molly Danger. That is quite literally, it is a child superhero. It's a graphic novel. Volume 1 is out now from Action Lab Comics. Jeremy Whitley?
Jeremy Whitley writes Princeless, not Molly Danger. Molly Danger is Jeremy. Not Jeremy. Hold on.
He's gonna kill me. Why am I?
Jeremy Whitley writes Princeless, and then Molly Danger is. Hold on.
Oh, they're gonna kill me.
I always forget his name too.
You know what it is?
I'm pulling up the website right now. Hold on.
All right. Well, you figure that out anyway. She is
Eagle. IG.
Jeremy. Is it Jeremy Eagle?
Starts with an I. Eagle. Yes, it's Jeremy Eagle, and then Jeremy Whitley writes Princeless, but both are fabulous books.
Okay. Yes, Princeless. Princeless is also another one of those titles. Okay. It's okay. And we're getting all sidetracked here. Just to put it out there, if you're looking for superhero style stuff, and what is going on now?
Okay. Yeah, Jessica's looking. She showed her.
Oh, okay. I'm getting between the phone ring and the screen changing. I'm all messed up. But no, I do like what Jessica said as far as it. Yeah, there you go. Jamal Igle. Oh, I hope they never see this because
it'll kill us both.
Well, it's like Frank and Ollie from Disney or Heckle and Jekyll. I always just mush them together as one creative. I probably shouldn't do that, but I'm constantly getting creators' names wrong. It's one of my things on the Talking Comics podcast. Even reading the names and the last names of creators on the show is kind of a mountain for me to climb every time. It's become kind of a running joke, but I suppose that I should learn how to sound things out.
Well, don't worry about it, because on my show, and MJ can back me up this, I know nothing. I was like, this one guy, I know who he is. It's Steve something, and but he's really good at it.
Oh, I've had people tweet me and call me out, especially for names of Hispanic descent. They're like, "Don't you know that it's this?" I was like, don't have much exposure to, to the culture. I'm sorry. I'm like, I don't know the inflections and the accents and whatnot. But anyway, both Princeless and Molly Danger are wonderful, wonderful books for children. And additionally, I can't recommend it enough. The My Little Pony series that's coming out from IDW, I wholeheartedly expected to not be into that whatsoever. I don't watch the show. My sister collected the toys when she was younger. I can tell you with 110%, I'll put my reputation on it, those books are spectacular.
Oh, freaking Katie Cook, you gotta love her.
Yeah.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, Katie Cook and Thomas Zoller and Jeremy Whitley, they're all doing incredible, incredible things, and there's enough in there for both adults and for the kids. I mean, they had an entire episode and issue of them. They all had the Big Lebowski My Little Ponies. Like, they were all there. They were bowling, and it was amazing. So there's all these little Easter eggs for parents who are reading these books with their children, and they're hysterical. The writing is top notch, and the art is colorful and beautiful and entertaining, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful series for parents looking to read comics with their kids.
Being an egotist, I need to toot my horn a little bit. Tom Zoller, when I worked at Diamond, Tom Zoller had just released his first issue of Love and Capes, and he was trying to get it in. He was trying to get it into Diamond, and this is when he was self-publishing it. So it came to me as brand manager, and me and the other brand managers, what we do is we vote on if we want to have this book in previews. So we looked at Love and Capes, we read it, we read the copies he sent us, and we agreed, yes, this would be an excellent book to have in previews, and because of where my area was, because they divided up the previews, like the publishers A to D were this one guy, and then E to L was this other guy. I fit into what his group was, so I was able to get Tom Zoller into Diamond and previews for the first time and got Love and Capes in there. So it was really cool. It was really cool to see him at Baltimore Comic-Con last month, or beginning of September, and he didn't remember me, obviously. It's been 10 years, but still, well, maybe not 10, but 8 years, but still it was kind of cool to see how successful he has been, and it makes me feel good that I helped get him his foot in the door, and stuff like that is a good thing. And I agree, the My Little Pony is great. One that I love to toot my horn for about IDW is my son absolutely loves Angry Birds. It is such a Jeff Parker, who you've interviewed before, Jessica, does a great job. He's one of the writers on Angry Birds, fantastic. And my daughter still is big into like Teen Titans Go and Tiny Toons and stuff like Tiny Titans rather and stuff like that. So there are a ton of great family kids style comics out there that don't necessarily have to be based on superheroes, stuff like that. I mean, they do have some good superhero ones out there for kids, but there are a lot of really good all ages books out there for everyone. Amelia Rules is another one. I know you said Amelia Cole, right? But yes, Amelia Rules is another good one that I absolutely love too. So good. All right, we're running out of time. Well, we've been having a good discussion here, and we haven't even scratched the surface. We may have to do this all over again sometime. Let's just, real quick, I just want to hit Doctor Who real quick, because I did tease that a little bit. And once again, Bronwyn, you can go ahead and beat me upside my head again. I haven't watched any of the Capaldi Doctor Who, and I have stopped. I stopped watching the catch-up for a while there, for a couple of weeks. I haven't watched the Doctor Who in a while just because of certain things.
Was to get caught up so you could start with Capaldi.
I caught up for this. Caught up.
We watched Capaldi episodes last night into the morning. So that we would watch.
You don't sleep, so that doesn't count. You don't sleep.
You, buddy.
I was watching Doctor Who just before the show started. I was like, oh, I've got to watch the latest Doctor Who because we're supposed to be talking Doctor Who.
See, I'm not as good as a producer as you are, Jessica. Okay, I'm sorry.
Shame. No, bad Dylan.
And see, I gamble.
I think we should
gambled
all
on it.
spoil it now for him.
Yes. Spoiler alert. It's awesome.
Let me just ask you guys. What is your take on Capaldi? You've seen what? There's been 6 episodes so far. What is your take on him? Do you guys like him, or are you finding something a little off about him? Because I've been getting.
He is great. The writing is.
Yes.
Yes.
I was just gonna.
I love him.
He is great. The writing is driving me crazy, but he is great.
Yes. Yeah. And I really enjoy the fact that I'm getting a chance to get to know Clara without. Because I have to be honest, I didn't love Clara with Matt Smith. I found her more of a plot device character. Yeah, exactly. But I find that they're at least developing her more as a person. Whether you like that person or not, she is having an opportunity to be a person in the new series. And I like the chemistry with her and Capaldi better than I liked her with Matt Smith. Maybe because there was no way she was not going to be eclipsed by the Pawns and the chemistry that he had with them. But yeah, I'm really, really, really enjoying Capaldi in this role. He is compatible crazy with the Doctor, you know?
My first exposure to Capaldi's Doctor was just last night. We watched the Christmas episode in which Matt Smith regenerates into Capaldi. And, I mean, anytime that you move... Matt Smith is my favorite Doctor from the new series from the 2005 forward. And I was very jarred by Capaldi. The difference in age and the grumpiness of his character really kind of threw me through a loop. And then they, through the writing, they started introducing a little bit more of the comedy, a little bit more of the haplessness, and almost like cartoonish nature that older Doctor Who pre-2005 used to have. And Bronwyn, thankfully, is there to kind of coach me through this stuff and point things out as I'm judging it while I'm watching it. We watched about maybe 3-4 episodes with Capaldi, and I have since fallen in love with his Doctor, and I'm really enjoying, much like Bronwyn said, the interactions between him and Clara have been much, much more enjoyable than anything she ever did with Matt Smith. Like Bronwyn said, I felt the Impossible Girl angle was just that, and it was kind of not anything that was ever expanded upon or even clearly defined. It was just a thing. That's who she was, and that's all she was. Now that she's with Capaldi, and we see her being a school teacher, we see her involved in a relationship, we've given her a life outside of just being a starry-eyed tag-along and this, this anomaly within the Doctor Who universe. But Capaldi, I'm enjoying the grumpy nature and kind of the tit-for-tat that they have with one another. They actually have a rapport with one another now. And I am enjoying the lighter tone and kind of the more, like, not so much Looney Tunes, but just cartoonish antics and nature of the show. And I absolutely love that they've brought, was it Lady Vestra?
Vastra, yeah.
Lady Vastra and Jenny and Strax. Love the 3 of them getting more screen time and being a part of the Doctor's circle to kind of round out the team. It feels like we have more than just one companion, and I think the group altogether, the group dynamic is working really well to kind of ease you into the new Doctor, who, for anybody that's been watching it only since 2005, is a really, really harsh jump to see that moment where it goes from Matt Smith to Capaldi, and just the lines in his face and the gaunt tiredness of the young 26-year-old Matt Smith or whatever he is into the older man. For younger audiences, that might not jam with them very much. And I think that they're doing a really good job where instead of lowering the Doctor's maturity level, they're kind of writing around his age. And that first episode where they're introducing you to him, the hour and 15-minute long episode, they directly address the idea of him being older, and they pretty much, by calling out Clara's, discontent with the situation, they called out the entire audience that had a problem with that and said, if you love the Doctor, you will adjust and you will love Capaldi, because this is what it is and this is the show. Don't just love the Doctor because it's Matt Smith or David Tennant. Love the character, not the man. So
So, Jessica, you had issues with the
Capaldi
stories then?
Oh, the
You
writing
had
is
issues
awful.
with the stories?
The writing is awful,
Yeah.
but Capaldi is brilliant. Yes, yes. Moffat is doing too much. He's trying to make Clara too important. He's got this thing with his companions that they have to be the end-all, beat-all, that the Doctor cannot exist unless they have existed, and he's created. I mean, he did it with the Pawns, and now he's doing it again with Clara, and I think it's a disservice to companions throughout the year where they have to be the story companions because they're good people. Was a fabulous, one of the best companions ever, not because you couldn't have the Doctor without her, but just because she brought out the best in him, and she brought out this brotherly nature in him that had not been seen of Chris.
Oh, we're losing our connection so bad.
Yeah, I think she's frozen.
He's a combination of Eccleston talking. Can nobody hear me?
Yeah, it's a little scattered here and there.
Let's
Okay.
wait for it.
Okay, so I don't know where I left off.
No.
But Capaldi is a combination of the Ninth Doctor and Peter Troughton and a little bit of the First Doctor, all kind of melded. Maybe even the parts that I like about the Third Doctor, even though I'm not a big fan of his, all kind of melded into one. But he's very much like Christopher Eccleston's Doctor, without being so filled with guilt over what he did to his people. He's gotten over the Time War, and now he's just kind of broody and old man-y for the sake of being an old man, because, hey, I was able to act his age because he looks his age for once. So I like what they're doing. I like what they're doing with Clara, except for the episodes where they have her just all for the sake of the Doctor. He doesn't need that, and she doesn't need that to be her own person. But
Very cool. MJ, I mean, I don't think. Do you watch Doctor Who? I don't remember.
No, I couldn't contribute if I had to Doctor Who. I've tried. I really have tried. I'll like catch bits and pieces of it, but the only time I ever really watched was like the Torchwood tie-ins, and it's strange because I do like Torchwood, but I just could not watch Doctor Who for some reason.
Huh.
So maybe I need to sit down and try this new one.
Did you make it through the horrible last season of Torchwood? Because that was brutal.
That was pretty brutal, yes, but I still watched it.
I have to admit, the third season of Torchwood broke me, and I didn't go back after that. And yeah, I loved the first season of Torchwood. The second season of Torchwood made me cry. The third season of Torchwood broke my soul and required actual recovery.
Was that the one where they found the giant space vagina?
No, I didn't get to the giant space vagina.
It's there. I'm not making it up.
That was the Children of Earth, and yeah, no, after which I stopped acknowledging Torchwood's existence.
You disavowed.
I did. Complete and utter disavowal. As far as I'm concerned, there were 2 seasons of Torchwood.
All right, folks. I think it's time to head out. I'm going to thank everybody for coming in. Jessica, thank you for spending some time with us. We're going to do it again sometime, absolutely. MJ, you and I will be doing this again next Sunday. So MJ and I will be doing our comic show next Sunday. And then, Bronwyn, as always, pleasure. Steve, cool hanging out with you, too.
Have me on.
Yeah, no problem. And we'll definitely have all you guys on again sometime. This is my show, and I can do whatever the hell I want. So Bronwyn knows what we're talking about. We're going to keep this a surprise, but you guys have to watch our October episode of Dylan Knows International. It's going to be another one of our epic episodes. We still haven't really gotten much discussion phase about it, but it's close to Halloween. We've got some really cool ideas running through our heads right now, so we got to probably start working on what we're gonna do with that. But we've got a really good episode planned for that. So next Sunday, MJ and I will be back here, 12:30 p.m. Talking comics. We'll probably be talking about, now that DC's September month is over, looking at some of the new stuff coming up, like Green Lantern Godhead is coming out, or God War, excuse me, is coming out this week. The new, I think, is it Gotham Academy? I think is coming out this week also.
Please read Gotham Academy.
Yep.
Please read Gotham Academy.
Yeah, so, hopefully that'd be a pretty good one too to check out too, and some other stuff. And we'll discuss some of the other things going on in the world of the comics. I think MJ and I will have our first discussion about Gotham, which I will say right now was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So we'll get into that a little bit next Sunday. So and then everyone else, let's see, my show Comic Call Beyond. Probably Friday this week, so because financial issues, we won't be able to have money to buy comics until Friday, so I won't be able to get them right away, but that's unfortunate. But Monday, watch Jessica on Comicosity Hangout. Do you got a special guest this week, or is it just you girls today, or you ladies?
Yes, Heather. No, it's Heather Antos from the crime anthology Kickstarter, Unlawfully Good.
All right. Well, there you go, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Check that out. The links will be out there. It's a great show. It really is a great show. And I love both Allison and Karen, as well as you, Jessica. You all are great together. So check it out. It's definitely worth a while. Check out Steve and his podcast and Talking Comics, comicbooks.com. Bronwyn, Bring Out Your Geek. You and Jeans, get some more episodes out there. Come on. Move it. And a little self-serving for myself. Episodes 9 and 10 of The Assistant will be out on Monday, very early, and a little bit of a sneak preview. A little bit of physical action is going to be going on in the episode 9, and episode 10 has my first far away location shots. So definitely check it out. If you haven't seen The Assistant, all 8 episodes are up on my YouTube page, and I'll probably be doing eventually one of those playlists of them all. So I am self-serving. This is my show, and I'll damn well do what I want to. So so check out all these wonderful people, and we'll be all back later on. So thanks for watching, everybody, and stay cool. Have a good Sunday.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.